So today we are going to discuss with the NEET examination question paper mainly, which is appeared today. Today itself few people have solved it and even appeared for that particularly examination. So today we'll have a discussion related with respect to the what majorly the key answers of that, right? And I have code number, that is what 45, and based on that you can compare the particularly what even answers related to those things, right? So here the first question says, that is complex 2 of a mitochondrial electron transport chain is also known as cytochrome BC1, they are saying, succinate dehydrogenase, cytochrome C oxidase and NADH dehydrogenase. So according to this particularly question here, the answer 2 is what correct, that is what succinate dehydrogenase. Already you know that in 90 that is what mitochondrial electron transport chain majorly which will occur with respect to the inner mitochondrial membrane, right? So there if you consider, the answer is what succinate dehydrogenase, right? Then next question, that is what 92, polymerized chain reaction PCR amplifies DNA following the equation, right? Majorly what what can happen is that the particularly one stands out, that particularly double stranded DNA what I have, and that is going to get what a duplicate. So duplicate means what 2 copies, and every cycle I am going to count it what 2 raised to n, right? So here according to that the option 2 is what correct, right? The 92 option 2 is what the correct, right? Then they are saying like what are the potential drawbacks in mainly with respect to the what adoption of this particularly IVF method, right? So they are asking you potential drawbacks which is related with respect to the what IVF method. So here high fertility risk to the what mother, then expensive instruments and reagents, husband wife necessary for being what donors, less adoption for what orphans, then not and particularly available in particularly India, right? Then possibility that the particularly early embryo does not survive. So choose the what correct answer from the option given below. So according to that, if I consider here, the particularly option 1 is correct, right? That is 93. What they are saying is expensive instruments and reagents are what actually the drawback of what the particularly IVF. Then the particularly less adoption of what orphans. Yes, definitely this is going to happen, because with respect to the IVF, the parent itself will have their own children, right? So like that of what different technology based what we are going to get. So there will be a less adoption of what orphans. Then possibility that the early embryo does not survive, right? Yes, this is what even the particularly correct related with respect to the what 93. So they asked you related with what drawbacks of what IVF method. So based on that option 1 is what correct. Then what is the name of the blood vessel that carries a deoxygenated blood, right? So name of the what blood vessel that carries deoxygenated blood from the body to the particularly what heart, in particularly what frog. They are related, asking related with respect to the what frog. So here definitely the what the particularly vena cava, right? So vena cava is an answer. So here according to that 94 question, answer is what 4, right? Then which one of the following statement refers to the what the particularly reduction, mainly reductionist biology, right? So majorly that is what the what option they are saying here, what physicochemical approaches to the study and understanding what living organisms, right? Then the physicochemical approach to the what study and understanding the living organisms. Then the chemical approach to the what study and understanding the particularly living organism. Then behavioral approach to the what study and understanding the particularly living organism. So based on that the majorly following statement refers to the what reductionist biology, that is nothing but what it's a physicochemical approach to the study and understanding the particularly living organism. So option 1 is what correct here, right? Then 96th question, which is what statement based, and what they are saying here, in RNA world, RNA is considered the first genetic material evolved to carry out essential life processes, right? Then RNA act as genetic material and also as a catalyst for some important biochemical reaction in living system, right? Then being what reactive, RNA is what unstable, right? So these are the what statement what they are saying. So when we see the RNA world here, actually the statement 1 is correct, right? Then statement 2, if I consider, DNA evolved from the particularly RNA and is more stable genetic material. Its double helical strands being complementary, resist changes by evolving repairing mechanism. And with respect to that only, like what most appropriate answers what we have to find out. So according to that, if I consider here, both statement 1 and statement 2 are correct here, right? So option 1 is correct according to the what 96th question, right? Then 97th question, epiphytes that are growing on mango branch is an example of which of the following, right? So they asked what commensalism, mutualism, predation, and even amensalism here. So with respect to that, if I consider, this is an example of what the particularly commensalism. So option 1 is correct. Example of what? The commensalism, right? Because what commensalism says here, the one of the species is got benefited, neither remaining that like what epiphyte means what here, majorly the organisms which will grow onto the other, right? Like onto the mango, majorly like what orchid growing you consider. So definitely what is going to happen, orchid will be benefited, right? But mango is not going to get what harm here. So in that itself what we call it as here commensalism. So option 1 is what the correct one, right? Then from the what statement given below, choose the correct options, right? Here they are saying what eukaryotic ribosomes are 80S and prokaryotic ribosomes are what 70S. So this is what actually correct, because eukaryotic ribosome is of what 80S type and prokaryotic ribosome is what 70S type. Then each ribosome has what 2 subunits. Yes, it has 2 subunits, right? One will be the what larger subunit and one will be the smaller subunit, right? Then the 2 subunits of what 80S ribosomes are 60S and 40S. Yes, it is what 80S. So totally subunits if you consider, that is what 60S plus what the 40S, right? And S stands for what here, Sudberg's unit. Then the while that of what 70S and 70S is what 50S and 30S. Yes, 70S is equal to what here, the 50S plus what 30S, right? So that is what even correct here, right? Then the 2 subunits of ATS are 60S and 20S. No, like here what it is 60S and 40S, because total what they are making. But if you consider this 60S and 40S, which actually makes 100S, but here it is showing what ATS type. It is reason due to the what is actual reason, it is based on the what density of that particularly what ribosome, right? So when they are into the what larger unit, they have what more density, and even with a smaller unit if you consider, they have more density. So 60S plus 40S makes 100x actually, right? But when it joins, the density what gets down to the what ATS. So based on that, if you consider here, the D option is what actually wrong. Then the 2 subunit of what ATS is what 30S and 60S and 30S they are saying, and that of what 70S they are saying 50S and 30S. So here the ATS, the wrong statement it is. So based on that, if I consider A, B and C is what actually correct, right? That is what option 1 is correct, right? According to this question, the particularly option 1 is what correct, right? So simple form of what questions what they have asked, right? Then which one of the following is an example of what ex-situ conservation here, right? So ex-situ conservation they are saying. So based on that, if I consider here, either it is national park, wildlife sanctuaries, zoos and botanical gardens and protected areas. So here XC2 conservation is what? The option 3, that is nothing but what? Zoos and the particularly what? Botanical garden, right? Because they are, the human being itself is going to construct the particularly what? The area where the endangered type of what species are what brought up, and they are what cultivated into this, right? That is what zoos and botanical gardens, right? So here the option 3 is what correct, related with what? 99, right? Then 100 question, right? So if I consider what they are given statement, the primary source of what energy in an ecosystem is solar energy. Then statement 2, the rate of production of what organic matter during photosynthesis in an ecosystem is called as net primary productivity, right? So here according to that, if I consider here statement 1 and statement 1 is correct, but the statement 2 is what? Incorrect, right? So what statement 1 is saying here, the primary source of energy in an ecosystem is solar energy. Yes, from the solar energy only what is going to happen, the plant itself is going to produce an organic material by means of what? Photosynthesis, right? But that is what actually the correct, right? Then statement 2 says what? The rate of production of organic matter during photosynthesis is in an ecosystem is called as what? Net primary productivity. No, that organic matter is not called as what? Net primary productivity. It is actually called as what? The gross primary productivity. And when I am going to get net primary productivity, that is what? The net primary productivity is equal to gross primary productivity minus what? Respiratory loss. Then only I'll get what? The net primary productivity. So according to that, the particularly 100 option is what? 3 here, right? Then match the least one with what? Least 2 here, right? So that is what 101st question they are saying. So emphysema, angina pectoris and the glomerular nephritis and tetany, right? So that what they are asking. So we have to match according to this. So if I consider over here majorly emphysema, if I consider, it is related with respect to the what? Acute chest pain when not enough oxygen is reaching to the what? Heart muscle. Majorly this emphysema can be caused by means of what? Smoking, right? Then angina pectoris is related with what? The rapid spasm in the particularly muscles, right? Due to the what? Low calcium in the particularly body fluid, right? Then the particular glomerular nephritis that can take place with respect to the what? Inflammation of what? Glomerule of what? The particularly kidney, right? Majorly what? Glomerulus filter. So there itself what? The inflammation can occur, right? So that is what the particularly C is related with what? 4. Then tetany, if I consider, tetany is related with what? Damaged alveolar walls and decreased respiratory what? Surfaces. So based on that, if I consider here, option 1 is correct, right? So 101 answer is what? The option 1, right? So you can compare according to the what? The particularly questions and related to that particularly options here, right? Then given below are what? The 2 statements. One is labeled as what? Assertion, and other is what? Labeled as what? Reasons here. So reasons, right? So both wind and water pollinated flowers are that very colorful and do not produce what? The particularly nectar. Both wind as well as what? Water pollinated flowers are not very colorful and do not produce what? Nectar, right? Then the flower produces enormous amount of what? Pollen grains in wind and water pollinated flowers. So according to that, if I consider here majorly here assertion and reasons are true, but reason is not actually the correct explanation, right? So assertion and reasons, so both wind and water pollinated, there no need of what? The production of what here? The color or even the production of what? Nectar, right? So nectar and the particularly color of the particularly flower matters when there will be a what? Insect pollination, right? So that what we are going to find out. It is not required with what? Wind and water. So here assertion is correct. Then the reason what it is saying, the flower produced enormous amount of what pollen grains. Yes, definitely it is going to produce enormous amount of what pollen grains, because during the pollination some of the pollen grains will be what lost. So because of that only, like what here assertion and reasons are correct, but reason is not related with respect to the what assertion here. So here according to that, the option 2 is what correct. Then which of the following is an example of non-distilled alcohol beverages produced by yeast? Right, non-distilled what they are asking. So example what they are given, whiskey, brandy, beer and particularly what rum. If you consider whiskey, brandy and rum, they are actually known to be the distilled one, right? So they are known to be the what distilled beverages. Beer itself is what non-distilled one. So here the option 3 is what correct, right? So beer non-distilled one what we are going to find out, right? Then given 104, that is what given below are two statements, right? That is in a floral formula, that is what symbol they have mentioned, a circle and plus this, right, stands for zygomorphic nature of the particularly flower, right? Then G below dash stands what inferior ovary, right? So according to this, if you consider, so zygomorphic flower is for what the particularly percentage, and this is for what the actually the actinomorphic, right? So based on that, if I consider here, the statement 1 is incorrect. Statement 1 is what incorrect, because this symbol is for actinomorphic, right? And G dash is for superior ovary, not for the what particularly inferior ovary, right? So the according to this, statement 1 is what incorrect. Then what statement 2 says, in a floral formula, plus stands for what actinomorphic nature of the flower, and G dash stands for what superior ovary. Already what that I have told you. So here the statement 2 is what correct. So according to that, option 4 is correct, right? Then moving on to the next question, that is 105th question. That is here, streptokinase produced by bacteria, majorly like what Streptococcus is based for, right, or is used for majorly. Streptokinase produced by bacterium Streptococcus is used for majorly what the here majorly it can be used for the removing the clot from the particularly what blood vessels. So majorly which is actually the clot busted here, the statin, right? Statin is actually produced by the here the Streptococcus bacteria. So according to that, option 4 is what correct. So here 105, option 4 is correct, removing the clots from the particularly what blood vessels, right? Then which chromosome in the human genome has a highest number of what genes, highest number of what genes, and that highest number of gene is what chromosome 1, right? So chromosome 1 has what majorly the here highest genes, that is what the chromosome 1, almost like millions of like what which is related with what HGP only what we are going to find out. So option 3 is what correct here, right? Option 3, which is what chromosome 1, which has a highest genes present in them, right? So that what you are going to find out. Then 107th, which of the following statement is correct about the location of what male frog copulatory pads, right? So location of what male frog copulatory pads. So here I can find out this particularly copulatory pads with respect to the first digit of the particularly forelimb, right? First digit of the forelimb. Here the option 4 is what actually the correct, right? So this majorly the questions what I am solving, it is related with respect to the code 45, right? So don't get what confused, right? So that is what the 45 code, that itself what I am solving here. Then moving on to the what next question, that is which one of the following, that is 108th question, which of the following phytohormones promotes the nutrient mobilization which help in the delay of what leaf senescence in particularly what plant here. So here the cytokinin is and what the correct option here, right? So cytokinin majorly what it can do, it actually promotes the nutrient mobilization and which help in what, the delaying of what, leaf senescence, right? So option 4 is what correct here. Then while trying to find out the particularly characteristics of newly found animals, raised earlier did the histology of what adults animals and observed particularly what cavity with presence of what, the mesoderm tissue towards the particularly what body wall, but no mesodermal tissue was observed towards the alimentary canal. What could be the possible coilum of this particularly what animal? So based on that, if I consider here, it is known to be the what, the pseudocoilum, right, which is known to be the what, pseudocoilum, and here option 2 is what correct, right. Then moving on to the what next question, that is what again match the column here. So they have mentioned what head, middle piece, acrosome and even what tail. So based on that only I should find out the particularly correct match here, right. So according to that, if I consider overally here, the head is related with respect to the what, genetic material. It is related with respect to the what, sperm majorly, right. So sperm at the what center with respect to the head, what I am going to find out, the genetic material. Then middle piece is meant for what here, the actually the energy. Then acrosome is meant for what, acrosome is meant for what, the enzymes, right, so that sperm can get what, penetrate. Then the particularly what, tail is for what, sperm motility. So according to that, if I consider 101, that is option 110, that is what option 1 is what correct. This is what actually the correct match, which is related with respect to the what, sperm here. Then given below are the stages in the what, life cycle of what, pteridophytes. Arrange the following stages in correct sequences, right. So they have mentioned what, prothallus stage, meiosis in spore mother cells, fertilization, formation of archegonia and antheridia in gametophyte, right. Then transfer of what, anthrozoids to the what, archegonia in presence of water. So according to this question, if I consider here, the particularly prothallus stage I am not going to find out with respect to the what, pteridophytes, right. Then so here the meiosis in spore mother cells, yes, this can take place. Then the next, that is nothing but what here actually majorly here fertilization, that we are not going to yes, we are going to see it with, right. Then formation of what, archegonia and antheridium in gametophyte, that even we are going to see. Then the particular transfer of what, anthrozoids to the what, archegonia in presence of water, so that even can be what seen. So according to that, if I consider here, option 1 is what correct, right. Then cardiac activities of the heart are what, regulated by, right, regulated by nodal tissues, special neural central in the particularly medulla oblongata, adrenal medullary hormones, adrenal cortical hormones. So with respect to this, what I have to find out the correct answers from the particularly options. So based on that, if I consider here, the A, B and C are what correct only. Here the option 1 is what correct in 112th question, right. Then moving on to the what next question, that is 113th, which of the following organisms cannot fix nitrogen, right. So cannot fix nitrogen, azotobacter, oscillatoria, anabena, volvox and nostoc, what they are saying. So which of the following cannot fix the particularly what, nitrogen they are saying. So which cannot fix here, the particularly volvox cannot fix the particularly nitrogen here. Remaining all of them are what, related with respect to the what, bacteria as well as what, the cyanobacteria, right. So here option D is what only the correct option, because which cannot fix, that is what, volvox, right. Then statement based question. So here 113th option 2 is what correct. Then given below are what, two statements, transfer RNAs and ribosomal RNA do not interact with what, mRNA. Transfer RNAs and ribosomal RNA do not interact with what, mRNA. Then statement 2 says RNA interference, RNAi take place in all eukaryotic organism as a method of what? Cellular defense. So according to that, if I consider here statement majorly, one is what incorrect and the statement 2 is what correct, right? So here RNA, transfer RNA and even ribosomal RNA, both of them are going to interact with mRNA, then only there will be a formation of what? Protein, right? So they are saying what? It do not react with what? mRNA. So statement 1 is wrong. But statement 2 says what? RNA interference, RNAi. It's a defense mechanism adopted by means of what? Eukaryotic organism related with what? Eukaryotic cell, right? So that it can silence the some of the what? Genes, unwanted genes. So according to that, if I consider here, option 4 is what? Correct, right? Then so they have given what? The particularly plasmid diagram. So based on that, what I have to find out the particular answers here. In the above represents the plasmid, an alien piece of what? The DNA is inserted at what? Eco R1 site. Which of the following strategies will choose to select the what? Recombinant colonies, right? So recombinant colonies what we have to choose, right? So eco R1 segment, there they are going to insert something called as what? The particularly alien DNA. So using ampicillin and tetracycline containing medium, then blue color colonies will be what? Selected, white color colonies will be selected, and blue color colonies grown onto the what? Ampicillin plates, right? So here to select the particularly what? Recombinant, here we are going to find out here, that is what? The white color colonies will be what? Selected, right? So eco R1, where actually what they are mentioned, eco R1 segment, where there is a presence of something called as what? Galactosidase they are mentioned, right? So this, according to this diagram, what it represents actually insertional inactivation. So definitely in insertional inactivation, I am not going to choose blue colored colony, right? Where there is a lactose mechanism, then definitely the colonies will become what? The particularly blue color. But here there is no any lactose mechanism, because as galactosidase enzyme activity itself I am going to what? Inactivate, and there itself we are going to insert what? Alien DNA. So according to that, what I am going to choose here, that is white color colonies will be selected, which are known to be what? Recombinant one, right? Then which of the following genetically engineered organism was used illegally to prepare the what? Human insulin, right? So what they have used? They have used bacterium, yeast, viruses, phage. They are actually used what? The bacterium, and that bacterium majorly here, that is what? E. coli, right? They have used what? The E. coli bacterium to prepare something called as what? The human insulin or Humulin, the Eli Lilly company, right? Then name the what? Class of enzyme that usually catalyzes the following reactions. So following reactions they have mentioned. So here according to that, if I consider here, transferase is an particularly what? Answer, right? So which is actually what? Transferring the groups. So here option 3 is what? Correct, right? 116, that is what? Option 1. 117, that is what? Option 3 is what? Correct. Then find the statement that is not correct with regarding to the what? Structure of monocot stem. So according to that, if I consider here, hypodermis is what? Parenchymatous, right? So the statement that is not correct regarding the structure of what? Monocot, right? So they are saying hypodermis is parenchymatous. So here option 1 is what? Correct. Then the correct sequence event in the life cycle of what? Bryophyte is, that is fusion of anthrozoites with egg, then attachment of what? Gametophyte to the substratum, reduction division to what? Produce haploid spores, formation of sporophyte, right? So then the formation of sporophyte, release of what? Anthrozoites into the water. According to that, if I consider, choose the what? Correct answer from the what? Options. So correct options. So here that is what? A is what? Incorrect. B is correct, right? Then the particularly what? A is correct, B is correct, then the again what? E is even correct, then the particularly what? D is correct, and even C is correct, right? So we have to find out actually the correct sequence of event with respect to the what? Life cycle. So here the option 3 is what? Correct with respect to the what? 119th question, right? Then moving on to the next, that is what? 120 question, right? which are the correct regarding what? Computed tomography and the magnetic resonance imaging detected cancers of what? Internal organs. Then chemotherapeutic drugs are used to kill the what? Non-cancerous cells. Then alpha interferons activity, the cancerous patient immune system and helps in the particularly what? Destroying tumor. Then chemotherapeutic drugs are what? Biological response modifier. In case of what? Leukemia, blood cell counts are what? Decreased. So choose the what? Correct answer from the what? Option given below, right? So according to that, if I consider here, the A and C are the only what? Correct, right? So A and C, which is what? 120th, right? Then next is what? Match the column 1 with what? Column 2, right? So here we are going to find out with respect to that. That is what? Match the column 1 with what? Column 2. So centromere is related with what? Actually the cell division, right? Then the cilium is related with respect to the what? Cell movement, right? Which is actually initiate the movement. Cristae is related with respect to the mitochondria. Cell membrane is related with what? Phospholipid bilayer. So according to that, the actually option 4 is what? Correct, right? So here option 4 is correct, right? Again they have given what? The different pigments, and based on that we have to find out actually the color. So that is what? 122 question, right? So according to this, if I consider here, majorly chlorophyll A is related with what? Majorly blue and green color. Chlorophyll B, if you consider, they are related with what? Yellow green color. Xanthophyll they are related with majorly they are what? Yellow. And carotenoid what? Yellow to yellow orange. So according to that, if I consider, option 2 is what? Correct here, right? 122 question, right? Moving on to the next, 123rd. Here in human pregnancy, the major organ systems are formed at the end of what? 12th week, right? Then in human pregnancy, the major organ systems are formed at the end of what? 8th week, right? So again they are saying in human pregnancy, heart is formed after 1 month of what? Gestation. In human pregnancy, limbs and digits develop by the particularly end of what? The 2nd month. In human pregnancy, the appearance of what? Hair is usually observed in the 5th month, right? So based on that, if I consider here, the option 4 is correct. That is what? The particularly A, C, D and E only, right? So here A, C, then D and E only, right? So B is what? Itself is wrong. So according to that, what? A, C, D, that is what? The 4th option is correct, right? Then in the seed of what? Cereals, the outer covering of what? Endosperm separates the what? Embryo by protein rich layer called, right? So protein rich layer, that is nothing but what? Majorly here alveolon layer, right? That is what? Option 4. Protein rich layer is what? Actually the alveolon layer, because coloptile, which is actually going to cover up the something called as what? Monocot seeds plumule, and the coleorhiza, which is going to cover up with respect to the what? Radicle, and integuments majorly that can be seen with respect to the what? Ovules, right? So here the alveolon layer, which is actually cover up the particularly endosperm, separates the particularly what? Embryo by a protein rich layer, that is what? Alveolon layer, that can be what? Seen. So they have given what? Here one diagram, right? So which of the following diagram is correct with regarding to the proximal and distal tubules of what? The nephron, what they are saying. So diagram which is what? Actually the correct. So correct diagram if I consider here, that is what? Option 2 is correct here. So option 2 is correct, right? Then moving on to the next, that is 126. So 105th option is what? Actually 125th option is what? 2, right? So that what you should remember, right? Then identify the part of what? Bioreactor which is used as what? Foam breaker from the what? Given figure. So from foam breaker, that itself what we have to find out. So here if I consider the C, that itself is known to be the what? Here the foam breaker, right? So foam breaker. So here option 4 is what? Correct, right? 126. Then 127th, given below are what two statements, one is what labeled as assertion and other is labeled as what reason. A typical unfertilized angiosperm embryo sac at maturity is 8 nucleate and 7 celled. The egg apparatus has what, two polar nuclei, right? So that what seeing. So according to that, if I consider here, the actually assertion is true, but reason is what false, right? So assertion is true and reason is what false. That is what the particularly answer 3, right? So here option 3, because egg apparatus actually consists of what, not two polar nuclei, it consists of two synergids and one the particularly female gamete, right? So here option 3 is correct, that is assertion is true and R is what, false, right? Then a specialized membranous structure in a prokaryotic cell which help in what, cell wall formation and DNA replication and respiration, and that is nothing but what here, the particularly mesosomes, right? So mesosome, that itself, that majorly with respect to the what, prokaryotic, we are going to find out what, it's an inner infolding, right? Inner membranes infoldings, and that itself is what, mesosome, which will help in what, cell wall formation, even DNA replication and even the respiration. So here option 1 is what, correct. Then which of the following are the post transcriptional event in eukaryotic cell, right? So here the transport following events of what, post transcriptional event in particularly eukaryotic cell, transports the majorly what, pre-mRNA to cytoplasm prior to what, splicing, then removal of what, introns and joining of what, exons, that is going to take place, addition of what, methyl group at 5' end of what, hnRNA, then addition of what, adenine mainly residues at what, 3' end, so that is what even going to happen, the base pair of what, two complementary RNAs. So here the particularly B, C and D is what, correct, right? So that is here related with that, the particularly option 2 is what, correct, right? So here B, C and D is what, correct, right? So option 2 is correct. Then moving on to the next, that is what, 130th question. What is the pattern of what, inheritance for polygenic trait, right? So pattern of what, inheritance of what, polygenic trait, and that is nothing but what, a non-Mendelian inheritance pattern, right? So that is known to be the non-Mendelian inheritance pattern, that is option 2 here, right? Then which one of the following enzyme contains heme as a prosthetic group, right? So which of the following enzyme contains heme as a prosthetic group, that is ribisco, carbonic anhydrase, succinate dehydrogenase and catalase, right? So according to that, if I consider catalase is an correct option, where it consists of what, a prosthetic group known to be the what, heme, catalase enzyme, right, which actually catalyzes the particularly what, reaction, right? So moving on to the what, next here, that is the 130th question, right? So each of the following characteristics represents the kingdom proposed by Whittaker. Arrange the what, following increasing order of what, complexity of what, body organization, right? They are asking. So multicellular heterotrophs with a cell wall made up of what, chitin, heterotrophs with the tissue or organ system level of body organization. So prokaryotes with what, cell wall made up of what, polysaccharides and amino acids. Then eukaryotic autotrophs with what, tissues, organs and level of what, body organization. Eukaryotic with cellular body organization. So choose the what, correct answer from the what, option given below, right? So majorly what we have to do, arrange the following in increasing order of what, complexity of what, body organisms. So complexity with respect to the what, organisms mainly, which is related with body organization. So arrangement based, if you consider here, the arrange, that is nothing but what, first I have to arrange what, the C, right, prokaryotic with a cell wall. Then second I am finding what, E, eukaryotic with cellular body organization. Then the third one is nothing but what, A, right, here, that is what, multicellular heterotrophs with a cell wall made up of what, chitin. Then I am going to find out what, the particularly D, that is eukaryotic autotrophs, tissue and organ level organization, that is what, fourth one. Then the fifth one, that is what, the B, right? So according to this, if I consider here, option 2 is what, correct, right? Then who is known as father of ecology in India, right? So father of ecology in India, so that is what they have mentioned, S.R. Kashyap, then Ramdeo Mishra, right, then Ram Udar, then the Birhal Sahni, right. So based on that, if I consider, that is what Ramdeo Mishra, right. So he is known as what, father of what, ecology. So here option 2 is what, correct. Then match the following. So they have mentioned what Alfred Hershey and even what Martha Chase, then euchromatin, Frederick Griffith, and heterochromatin, what they have mentioned. So according to that, if I consider, here I have to find out the correct option, that is what, here Alfred Hershey and Martha Chase, what they have done, they have done what, the DNA as a genetic material conformation, right. Then euchromatin is actually loosely packed and lightly stained component of what, chromatin. Then Frederick Griffith, what he have used, he used Streptococcus pneumonia for what, trying to prove something called as what, DNA as a genetic material transformation principle, what we are going to see. Heterochromatin, that is what, densely packed. According to that, if I consider, option 3 is what, correct here, right. So that is 134th question. Then 135, neoplastic characteristics of what cells refers to, right, refers to what here, that what we have to actually match according to, right. So neoplasty, which is what, the mass of what, proliferating cell, yes, right. Then rapid growth of cells, yes, that what we are going to see. Invasion and damage in the what, surrounding tissues, yes, that even what we are going to see. Those confined to the what, original location, no, they are going to move to the what, next, and that can be seen, neoplasticity, right, or even metastasis property can be what, brought. So here the option 2 is what, correct, right. So that is option 2, right. Then given below are what, 2 statements here. So the DNA fragments extracted from the what, gel electrophoresis can be used in construction of what, recombinant DNA. Smaller sized DNA fragments are observed near anode, while larger fragments are found near the particularly well, in and particularly agarose gel, right. So according to that, if I consider here, majorly both the statement 1 and statement 2 are what, correct, right. So here option 1 is what, correct, according to the what, 136. Then again match the following. They have mentioned adenosine, adenyllic acid, adenine, alanine, right. So these are the word component what they have mentioned. Adenosine majorly is what, the nucleoside, right. Adenyllic acid is nothing but what, the nucleotide, and adenine is nothing but what, it's a nitrogen base, and alanine is nothing but an amino acid. So according to that, if I consider here, option 3 is what, correct. So option 3 is correct, that adenine nucleoside, adenyllic acid nucleotide, adenine nitrogen base, and alanine is what, amino acid. So option 3 is what, correct. So moving on to the next question, right. Consider the following. The reductive division for the what, human female gametogenesis starts earlier than that of the what, male gametogenesis. The gap between the first meiotic division and the second meiotic division is much shorter for the what, male compared to the females. The first polar body is associated with the formation of primary oocyte. The luteinizing hormone surge leads to the what, disintegration of what, endometrium, and the onset of what, the menstrual bleeding, right. So according to that, if I consider here, the A and B are what, actually true. So 38, that is what, option 1 is what, correct, right. Then moving on to the next, that is 139th. Here all living members of what class, cyclostomata, are the here cyclostomata, if I consider, the ectoparasites, right. So all living organisms of the class cyclostomata are free living, endoparasite, and symbiotic, what they are saying, that is nothing but what, they are ectoparasite. That is option 4 is what, correct. Then moving on to the next 140th question. Here assertion and reason they have mentioned. The primary function of what, the Golgi apparatus is to package the material made by the endoplasmic reticulum and deliver to the what, intracellular targets and outside the particularly cell. Then reason says vesicles containing material made by endoplasmic reticulum fuses with what, cis phase of the particular Golgi apparatus, and they are modified and released from the what, trans phase of the Golgi apparatus, right? Then what we have to do is we have to find out what the correct options related with respect to this, right? So here both assertion and reasons are true, and reason is what actually the correct explanation of what assertion. That is what option 1 is what correct here, right? Then again match the following. They have mentioned scutellum, non-albuminous seed, then ephiblast and perisperm, what they are saying. So according to this, if I consider here, scutellum is related with respect to the what cotyledon of what monocot seed. Then non-albuminous seeds example based if you consider here, it is related with what groundnut. Then epiblast is related with respect to the what rudimentary cotyledon. Then perisperm is related with respect to the persistence of what nucellus. So according to that, option 1 is what correct, right? So here 141, the option 1 is what correct, right? Then given below are what two statements. One is what here the labeled as assertion, right? Assertion and reason again, right? So here all the vertebrate are chordate, but all chordates are what not vertebrates. Then the members of what subphylum vertebra possesses notochord during the what embryonic period, right? Then the notochord is replaced by a particularly cartilaginous or bony vertebral column in adult, right? So according to that, if I consider here majorly here option 1 is what correct. That is assertion and reasons are true, and reason is a correct explanation of what assertion. That is what option 1 is what correct, right? So here moving on to the what next here, that is identify the statement that is not correct, right? Not correct, that what we have to find out, right? So here what they are saying, each antibody has what 2 light and 2 heavy chains. Yes, it is correct. Then the heavy and light chains are held together by disulfide bonds. Yes, it is even correct. It is overall what related with the structure of what antibody, right? So based on that only what we have to find out. Antigen binding site is located at C-terminal regions of what antibody molecules, right? It is actually located at what N-terminal. So majorly like what option 3 is what incorrect related with respect to this question, right? The constant regions of what heavy and light chain are located at what C-terminal of the what antibody molecule. So this is what correct. So here according to this 143rd question, that is fourth option is third option is what correct, right? So here the majorly the third option is correct, because what we have to find out not correct statement, and which is the not correct, that is what third one, right? Then moving on to the next, here silencing of specific mRNA is possible via RNA, because RNAi, right? So RNAi, and that we are going to see with what complementary double stranded RNA, right? RNAi interference is majorly based on making what double stranded RNA molecule, complementary double stranded RNA molecule. So here option 1 is what correct. Then genes R and Y follow the independent assortment. If capital R, capital Y produces round yellow seeds, and small r, and small y produces wrinkled seeds, what will be the phenotypic ratio of what F2 generation? So majorly phenotypic ratio is what 9:3:1. So that is what option 3 is what correct here, right? So moving on to the next, histones are enriched with lysine and arginine, leucine and lysine, phenylalanine and leucine, phenylalanine and arginine. Here the lysine and arginine is a component of what the particularly histone, right? So that is what they are majorly made up of what 60% of them are made up of what lysine and arginine as a particularly amino acid. So option 1 is correct. The first menstrual cycle is called as, it is called as what menarche, right? It is called as what menarche. That is what option 2 is what correct, right? Then moving on to the next question, that is match the column with the least 1 and least 2, right? So that what match the following here. So majorly if I consider here, the heart is actually related with what atrial natriuretic factor, right? Then kidney is related with respect to the what? Kidney is related with respect to the erythropoietin, then gastrointestinal stresses if I consider here. So that is what related with respect to the what aldosterone. Then adrenal cortex is related with respect to the what the secretion. So according to that, if I consider, adrenal cortex is related with what aldosterones, and the gastrointestinal is related with respect to the what secretion. So according to that, if I consider here, the option 4 is what correct. Option 4 is what correct, right? So moving on to the next question, that is what the protein portion of an enzyme is called as. The protein portion of enzyme is called as what apoenzyme. That is what option 3 is what correct, right? Then which of the following of the is the unit of what productivity of an ecosystem. So rate of what productivity what we have to calculate, so that can be calculated based on what the kilocalories meter square per year, right? So that is what you are going to find out. So here option 4 is correct, right, related to this, right? Then sweet potato and the particularly potato represents majorly sweet potato and potato here represents the type of what evolution. Select the correct combinations of what terms to explain the what evolution here, right? So here if I consider it's a correct combination is what analogy and convergent type of what evolution. That is what option 1 is what correct here, right? Then again diagram they have given, and mainly like what pedigree chart. With the help of what given pedigree, find out the probability for the birth of a child having no disease and being a carrier. Has the disease mutation in one allele of the particularly what gene. In F3 generation, what we have to find out, right? So what will be the percentage of what disease, and the majorly find out the possibility for the birth of a child having no disease and being what particularly carrier, right? So that if I want to find out here according to that, the particularly answer is 1/4, right? Answer is what the 1/4, right? So that is option 1 is correct. So option 1 is what correct here, right? Then moving on to the what next, that is what 53 question. Given below are the two statements. One is labeled as what assertion and reasons, right? So cells of the tapetum possesses dense cytoplasm and generally have more than one nucleus. Then presence of what more than one nucleus in the tapetum increases the efficiency of what nourishing the developing microspore mother cells. So according to that, if I consider here, both assertion and reasons are what the true, and reason is what actually the correct explanation. That is what option 1 is what correct here, right? Then how many meiotic and mitotic divisions need to occur for the development of what mature female gametophyte from the what megaspore mother cells in an what angiosperm plant, right? So we have to calculate. So based on that, if you consider here 1 meiosis and what 3 mitosis, that is what option 3 is what correct. 1 meiosis and 3 mitosis, right? Then moving on to the what 155th question, which of the following is an example of what zygomorphic flower? So zygomorphic flower, that is nothing but what the P, that is nothing but what P. Here option 3 is what correct. Then moving on to the next question, after maturation in primary lymphoid organ, the lymphocytes migrates for what interaction with what antigens to the secondary lymphoid organs tissues, right? So that what we have to find out. Thymus, spleen, then PS patches, bone marrow and lymph node, right? Choose the correct with respect to the what the options, right? So according to that, if I consider here, that is option 4, that is C, D and E only, right? So that is what option 4, right? Then given below are what two statements. The fig fruit is a non-vegetarian fruit as enclosed fig wasps in it, right? Then fig wasps and fig trees exhibit mutual relationship as what fig wasps completes its life cycle in the what fig fruit, and fig fruit gets what pollinated by the fig wasps, right? So according to this question, if we consider here, they are mentioning like what option 1 and option 4 is correct. The reason for it is Still there is a like what the related with fig fruit. If you consider some of the fruits of what fig, they are what vegetarian, and some of the species of what fig, they are what actually non-vegetarian, as the wasps lays the egg inside them, right? So because of that only they are considered to be what non-vegetarian. So here if you answer it what both statement 1 and statement 2 are correct, then it is correct. Then statement 1 is incorrect because it's not non-vegetarian, and some of them are what vegetarian. So here again statement 1 is incorrect and statement 2 is what correct. So we can say it as what option 1 and option 4 is correct, right? Why? Because the particularly still there is a controversy going on with respect to the what fig fruit, right? Either it is vegetarian or non-vegetarian. Then what is the main function of what the particularly what spindle fiber here, right? So spindle fiber during the what mitosis, if I consider, that actually carries what to separate the what chromosomes. So here the option 1 is what correct, right? Then moving on to the next, which one of the following is the what characteristic features of what gymnosperm? So characteristics of what gymnosperm, seeds are enclosed in fruit, no, right? Then seeds are what naked, then seeds are absent, no, they are present, right? Then gymnosperms have what flowers for what reproduction, no, they doesn't have what flower, right? Then seeds are what naked, that is what option 2 is what correct according to the 159 question, right? So moving on to the next, that is what 160th. Considering the following statement regarding regarding here majorly, right? So regarding that is regarding the function of what adrenal medullary hormones, right? So majorly it causes what mainly the papillary constructions, and it is what the hyperglycemic hormone, it causes what what it is the majorly what erections, and increases the strength of what heart contraction, and choose the what correct answer from the below, right? So according to this, if you consider here the B, C and D only, right? So that is what option 2 is what correct, right? Then moving on to the what next question, that is what can't insulin be given orally, right? Why can't insulin be given orally to the diabetic patients? Human body will what declare strong immune systems, and it will be what digested in gastrointestinal tract because of what structural variations, and it bioavailability will be what increased. So based on that, if I consider, it will be digested in gastrointestinal tract. So that is what option 2 is what correct, right? Moving on to the next, match the following here. So according to that, if I consider the pteridophytes, right, example they have given. So pteridophyte, that is nothing but what salvinia. Bryophyte, that is nothing but what polytrichum. Angiosperm, that is nothing but what the majorly the here angiosperm is majorly the salvia. Then gymnosperm is what ginkgo, right? So according to that, the particularly option 2 is correct, right? Then who proposed the genetic code of what amino acid should be made up of what 3 nucleotide, right? So majorly that is given by what George Gamow, right? So that is what George Gamow, option 1 is what correct, right? Then again match the following. So match the following according to that, if you consider evil court, then ex situ conservation, then Lantanera, then Dodo, what they have mentioned. So according to this 160th, the option 2 is what correct here. Option 2 is what correct, right? Then which of the following hormone released from the what pituitary is actually synthesized in the hypothalamus? Luteinizing hormone, antidiuretic hormone, then follicle stimulating hormone, adrenal corticoc hormone, right? So according to that, that is nothing but what antidiuretic hormone, that is the particularly 2, option 2 is what correct, right? Then role of the what water vascular system in the particularly echinoderms, right? So role what we have to find out: respiration and locomotion, excretion and locomotion, capture and transport of food, digestion and respiration, digestion and excretion. So according to this, what A and C only is what correct, that is what option 2 is correct here, right? Then which of the following type of what immunity is present at the what time of birth and is non-specific type of what defense in the what human body. So according to that, if I consider, that is what innate immunity, and option 2 is what correct here, right? Then moving on to the next, in bryophytes, the gammas help in which of the what following, right? It help in what sexual reproduction, asexual reproduction, nutrient absorption and gaseous exchange. Mainly the gamma can help with respect to the what, the gamma cups, which is what with respect to the sexual reproduction. That is what option 2 is correct, right? Then in frog, the renal portal system is special venous connections that act to link, right? So majorly if I consider, according to that, kidney and the lower part of the body, that is option 4 is correct. 169th question, right? Moving on to the what 70th, that is in ecosystem there is what unidirectional flow of what energy of what sun from producer to the consumers. Statement 2 says ecosystems are exempted from the what second law of what thermodynamics. So according to this, if I consider here, statement 1 is what correct and statement 2 is what incorrect. So that is option 3 is correct, right? Then which of the following statement about the Ribisco is true? About the Ribisco is true, they are saying. So here, that is what it catalyzes the carboxylation of what RUBP. That is nothing but what ribulose 1,5-bisphosphate. So that is option 4 is what correct, right? 72 question. Which of the following enzymes are not essential for what gene cloning, right? So they mentioned what restriction enzymes, DNA ligases, DNA mutases, DNA recombinase, and what majorly the polymerase. So restriction enzyme is required for gene cloning, DNA ligase is required, DNA mutase is not required, DNA recombinase is not required, DNA polymerase is required. That is A, B and E, right? So majorly what A, B and E, but based on overallly. If I consider here, the option A and B is what correct, right? So option 2 is correct, right? So that is which is related with what majorly 170th, right? So sorry, which is not essential. They are asking what which is not essential. These are what actually the essential one. So which is not essential if I consider. So then definitely here the option 1, that is what C and D, that is DNA mutase and recombinase. That is option 1 is what correct here, right? Then moving on to the what next, read the following statement on the particularly what plant growth and development. Parthenocarpy can be what induced by auxin. Plant growth regulators can be what involved, and then in the portion as well as what inhibition growth. And then de-differentiation is prerequisite for the what redifferentiation. Then abscisic acid is the plant growth promoter. Then apical dominance promotes the growth of what lateral. So according to this particularly question, if I consider here, option 1 is correct. That is what A, B and C only, right? A, B and C only, right? Then moving on to the what next, which factor is what important for the termination of transcription here, right? So termination of transcription majorly required what the row factors, right? What is required? The row factor, that is the option 3 here is what correct, related with what 174th, right? Then moving on to the what next, frog respires in water by skin and buccal cavity, and on land by skin, buccal cavity and what lungs. Choose what the correct options. So according to that, if I consider, statement 1 is false for what water, but the true for the particularly what land, that is what option 3, right? So that is 175th question, right? So moving on to the what next, twins are born to a family that lives next door to you, right? The twins are boy and girl. Which of the following must be true for them, right? Here they are monozoic twins. They are the mainly fraternal twins, and they were what conceived through in vitro fertilization, and they have what 75 identical content, right? So majorly here they are fraternal what twins. That is what the option 2 is what correct, right? Then moving on to the next, which of the following microbe, that is what 177th question, is not, which of the following microbe is not involved in the preparation of what household products, right? Lactobacillus is used, or like what Aspergillus niger, Trichoderma polysporum, Saccharomyces cerevisiae, then Propanobacterium ceremani. So according to this, if I consider here, is not involved in the preparation of what household product, not involved they are asking. So according to that, what majorly A and C, right? That is nothing but what Trichoderma polysporum as well as what Aspergillus niger. So option 2 is what correct. Again they have given match the column here, right? So according to that, if I consider here, progesterones are related with respect to the what, the corpus luteum. Relaxin is related with respect to the what, the ovary, right? Then melanocyte stimulating hormone, that can be seen up with respect to the, pars intermedia. Then majorly what the catecholamines, that can be seen with respect to the what, adrenal medulla. So here option 1 is what correct, right? So that is what option 1 is what correct, right, according to this, right? Then the blue and white selectable markers have been developed which different recombinant colonies from the non-recombinant colonies on the basis of their ability to produce color in presence of what chromogenic substrate. Right, given below are what two statements about this particularly method, right? So statement 1 what says, the blue colored colonies have a DNA inserted in the plasmid and they are identified as what, recombinant colonies. No, right? Then the colonies without blue color have a DNA inserted in the plasmid and are identified as what, recombinant colonies. Yes. So according to that, if I consider here, the statement 1 is incorrect and statement 2 is what? Incorrect and statement 2 is correct, right? So that is what option 4 is what correct, right? Then which one of the following equation represents the world logistic growth of what population? So logistic growth of what population, that can be seen with what? The particularly dn by dt is equal to Rn and carrying capacity minus population density divided by carrying capacity. So this will be the answer, that is what option 2 here, right? Right. So these are what the general discussions majorly, right? So what you can consider, some of the what I have explained you related with respect to why this particularly answer is, and remaining whatever the key answers remaining we'll discuss further again. But at right now you can compare your answers, find out what, how many marks you people have got. Hope you people have done good with respect to the what NEET examination, and all the best for your upcoming careers. Choose the correct path and achieve your goal and be successful. Thank you so much.